Our sports report is presented by the Oshawa Generals and Ontario Motor Sales, a partnership that's driving our community.
Good evening, everyone. The Brooklyn Redmen opened their Majors Series lacrosse playoff semifinal against the Peterborough Lakers in Peterborough last night. The Redmen were hoping that the Lakers would be a bit rusty after sitting around for a week after their first place bye, but as you can see from that goal, they weren't. The Redmen were in the game in the first period as they trailed 4-3 after 20 minutes, but the Lakers pulled away in the second, scoring 4 unanswered goals to jump ahead 8-3 after 2 periods. The Redmen came back to life in the third, but the Lakers walked off the floor with a 12-6 victory and a 1-0 lead in the series. Game 2 is tonight at Iroquois Park Arena in Whitby at 8 o'clock p.m. Toronto Blue Jays and New York Yankees were idle last night, but both Tampa Bay and the Red Sox saw action. Minnesota edged the Rays 8-6, while the Red Sox beat the Cleveland Indians 6-2. Tonight, the Jays host the Rays, while the Yankees host the Red Sox. The Rays are now a half game behind the Yankees in the AL East, while the Red Sox are 6 games back. The Blue Jays are 11.5 off the pace. Slugger Barry Bonds will stand trial on federal perjury charges in March. Bond's legal team, federal prosecutors, and a U.S. District Court judge agreed during a brief hearing today to begin the trial on March 21st. They also hashed out a schedule to file legal documents and to hold pretrial hearings to shape what the jury will see and hear during the 3-week trial. The former San Francisco Giant has pleaded not guilty to charges he lied to a grand jury in December of 2003 when he denied knowingly taking performance-enhancing drugs. 2 of the most dangerous men in Canadian football will meet on the field in Montreal tonight. Alouettes quarterback Anthony Calvillo will lead the reigning Grey Cup champions against Rough Riders counterpart Darian Durant. Nobody has thrown for more yards than those 2 men in the CFL this season. Out west, the Toronto Argonauts quarterback Cleo Lemon will be looking to improve his job security. The first-year starter could begin facing more questions about his role with the Argos if he has a subpar performance tonight against the Eskimos. No team has thrown for fewer yards than the Argos this season. Retief Goosen shot a second-round 4-under par 66 to grab top spot at the Bridgestone Invitational at Firestone Golf and Country Club. Goosen is 7-under par for the tournament. Canada's Mike Weir is 1 over par after his second-round 69 today. Tiger Woods is way off the pace at 6 over for the championship. Meanwhile, Lee Westwood is pulling out of the PGA Championship next week because of an ankle injury. He shot a 76 today at the Bridgestone Invitational. Hours later, he announced he was withdrawing from the final 2 rounds at Firestone and the final major of the year next week at Whistling Straits. There could be more trouble on the horizon for the French soccer players who staged a strike at the World Cup. The sports governing body in France opened a disciplinary case against 5 players. France crashed out in the first round of the World Cup without winning a match. These are tough times for the men's tennis in the United States. No U.S. players will be ranked in the ATP's top 10 next week. It will be the first time the States hasn't been represented since computer rankings began in 1973. Toronto's Peter Polansky is currently the top-ranked Canadian in 200th spot. Dan, that's our look at sports.
Dave, I guess one of the lessons that comes out of our sports report tonight is you don't lie or perceive to be lying to a grand jury, I guess, eh?
Well, that's usually a bad thing, Dan. You can get in a lot of trouble for that.
Now, the penalty is quite severe. I think that he could do some real jail time. But the burden of proof has to be that he knowingly took performing-enhancing drugs. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I understand, that he's got to prove that, or they have to prove that he knowingly took them, as you said. But that's always a tough thing to do.
And the other issue I just want to ask Dave is this an issue about baseball, or is this an issue about lying to Congress, or a perceived lying to Congress?
Yeah, it's more the lying to Congress that's at issue here. A lot of fans don't really care about the players taking steroids. They don't seem too interested in that. If that's what's going to happen, they say it's professional sports. A lot of people just seem indifferent to it. But Congress has a different view, of course. They don't like being lied to. No, I don't blame them at all. And it's going to be interesting to watch. Of course, that's coming up in March. Great weekend for CFL football fans, Dave. Yeah, hey, lots of action tonight. I'll mention it in the second half of the sportscast as well in our sports update, but you've got the Argos out west taking on the Eskimos. Big game for the Ticats tomorrow night. They host Winnipeg, and they've off to a slow start this year. Still a good football team, though, but just not off to the best start compared to last year. I think that's going to be the game of the weekend. I think it's going to be a great game. And just to revisit lacrosse a little bit, good crowd last night in Peterborough? Yeah, 2,500, just over 2,500, of course, and it's the coolest place in town. around. The Memorial Center is air conditioned, so it was it was steaming outside, as you know, Dan, yesterday, and nice and cool inside. But hey, the Redmen were right there for a while. They played pretty good in the first period, but they gave the ball away too much. The Lakers are such a good team in transition. They just wait back in defense, and when you make a pass, they're up there and they intercept, and down they go.
It comes down to all good teams will, one way or another, will find ways to beat you. Thanks, Dave. We'll check in with Dave Gilbert a little bit later on. An interesting start to today.